lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
For some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill on Aspen Square in Denham Springs, welcome to the Monday edition of Live at Lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff along with Jimmy Ott. Jordan Kitchen's back in the studio. Glad that you're with us on a beautiful October day. Lots of stuff, a Halloween week, and got some cool stuff going on here at Big Mike's. I always make a big deal out of Halloween. We'll be telling you about some of that stuff. Tough losses for LSU over the weekend. Unexpected loss for the Saints. Not a whole lot of hope on that end, but LSU with the loss up at College Station obviously be a big topic today. Jaden Daniels goes Hail Mary in the second game yesterday, and what an impact he has had on that Washington franchise. Jimmy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Charlie.
A lot to get to. So let's jump in with LSU. The game. There were three big components of the game that have been, I hate to use the word blame, but is reasons that LSU was not able to hold on to a 10-point lead in the second half. And you can put them in whatever order you want. That's been one of the things that has been debated. It started in post-game and all throughout yesterday and then into this morning. Number one, Garrett Nussmeier threw three bad interceptions. There's not a whole lot, another word for it. All three of them were avoidable. All three of them were in LSU territory, and all of them were extremely consequential in the outcome of the game. Second thing, and you may tie this in with the reasoning for the interceptions, because LSU had absolutely no running game in this contest. 23 carries for 24 yards. They could not move the ball on the ground, and this was against a rush defense that has certainly improved since the beginning of the season when they were giving up big yardage to Notre Dame and even in a game against McNeese. But it was not a top five run defense in the country or anything like that. And then the third thing, of course, which is LSU's inability to stop Marcel Reed when he came into the game 2 series into the second half. And his legs, he only threw 2 passes. Both of them were complete. Both of them were big gainers. One of them was a 54-yard gain. But his feet, that read option, opened up things in the rest of the running game for A&M, and LSU had no answer for it. It's getting a lot of mileage that LSU didn't exactly prepare for it, which we can get into. But Garrett Nussmeier in the first half was fantastic. LSU had a lead. I wouldn't say they had taken the crowd out of the game, but they certainly felt like they were playing well. And then he threw an interception, they changed quarterbacks, and the whole game flipped.
Nussmeier, and this is where in his 9th start, he has some room for growth. And it's just not that it was just a first, but situational. I mean, It's okay to throw the ball away and not force it. But that first interception set up A&M on the doorstep to, cut that 10-point lead to 3, and it sparked that crowd. These crowds, these SEC venues are like no other. And when you got them down, don't room service a spark. And that's room for growth. Okay? When you're down and you need to take chances, and you need to be aggressive, that's one thing. But this was a spot for situational growth. And it just got to be better. But we got to remind ourselves, he's been around here for a long time, but it's his 9th start. That's pretty young, as far as the experience is concerned. The other thing is, I think it's much easier to adjust to something unexpected that's one-dimensional rather than something that is a guy that is showing you balance. A guy that may be able to throw to all of the quadrants as opposed to a guy that was just one-dimensional and just a runner. After a drive I mean, you should be able to do it. Charlie, what do we see at the end of games? Okay, a team is trying to run the ball and run clock. They're not going to take any chances. And what is the other team? Everybody loads up the box, and usually with the numbers, they stop them, they have to punt, whatever. But it is tougher on the players for them to throw an off-speed pitch that they're not prepared for. But the coaches still, and this is what I want y'all to do in your film study, just count the guys in the box.
Yeah.
I mean, we lived this. Every LSU fan lived this through Leonard Fournette. Man, Leonard Fournette, how high was he drafted as running back? When running backs don't matter too much?
He was the fourth pick in the draft,
yeah,
I believe.
top 5 pick. Yeah, but you're very easy to defend when you've got a million guys in a box. Look, if the guy beats you over the top, like he did, you tip your hat. But you just don't let him methodically move the ball, being one-dimensional. He attempted 2 passes. He threw 2 passes. How many snaps was he in there for? 25, 30, whatever. That's one-dimensional. And that's you got to be better. I mean, this isn't on-the-job training. This is not on-the-job training to try and fix things up in a kicking game after the fact. Have it buttoned up beforehand.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're paying top dollar, and so that's the thing that a coach is pretty damn good in Kelly to just have these breakdowns and act like it's good. No, take care of that crap beforehand.
I'll give him a pass on the holder not spinning the laces. It's not like he hasn't been coached to do that, but the rest of it, I'm with you.
Have you ever seen a kicking game, one game where snapper, holder, kicker all had a faux pas?
No,
I mean,
it's almost never.
It's like high school.
It's almost never on the holder more than once. Okay, every now and then one will slip. Okay, you won't spin the laces one time. To have 2 that you don't spin it properly, and then have the third one hit you in the face. I don't know if that was the snapper's fault or his. Your fault, my fault, nobody's fault. Those are practical applications that you do over and over and over again that you've been coached to do. I'm more apt to get after special teams blunders when the coverage is bad or things like that. So yeah, all of that was bad in the kicking game, but I'm not sure I can lay that at Kelly's feet.
You know how often they practice that in practice? I would say, how many times I would say over the course of the season and off season, 1,000 times. I bet you they've never hit the guy in the face.
Probably not, no. Because those guys usually off by themselves.
But
they
when you're
practice.
playing on the road, and things get, but hey, I mean,
it happens. So Garrett Nussmeier, at this point, he's made a lot of big plays. He's having a good year. He's made some clutch plays, and he's made some really bad plays. He has gotten away with them in the previous games. South Carolina, you took 2 interceptions off the board. One of them was a pick 6. There were at least 2 throws that I can remember in the Arkansas game where the interceptions, if not outright dropped, were certainly thrown into harm's way. In conference games, that's what we like to look at. We talk about a feast or famine, boom or bust, however you want to say it. Garrett Nussmeier leads the Southeastern Conference in yards per game, passing yards per game. He's got a sizable lead. He's got 20 yards per game more than the next highest.
What's the yards per attempt?
His yards per attempt are in the middle. They're at 7.2.
That could be better.
Which is 10th. Yeah, it's like I said, it's kind of in the middle. He's half a yard off of top 6. But his completion percentage he's got the most yards per game. His completion percentage is 3rd worst in the league among starting quarterbacks at 53.7%. And his touchdown to interception ratio is 7-6. The 6 interceptions is the second most in the Southeastern Conference to Carson Beck's 8.
I don't care about completion percentage. I care about yards per attempt.
Okay, you're 10th in the league in yards per attempt.
And that's got to be better.
That's got to be better than the interception total.
He's got a pretty good protection, huh?
He's had exemplary protection. In fact, this is the first game.
He doesn't have weapons last year or what Burrow had, but he's got some weapons.
He does.
You saw Anderson. He took it and dusted off to the end zone.
This was the first game he's felt any real pressure, and even then, not until the second half after they were behind.
Well, this year is this is the toughest environment he played in.
Oh, yeah, by far.
At South Carolina was the other one. And South Carolina's a nice play, and it could be a little bit.
It's loud,
It's not 100,000 plus.
No, that atmosphere by far. And Kyle Field is good. It's a big time college football environment.
So you said that Nussmeier has made plays and he's made mistakes.
Yeah.
Has Nico at Tennessee made plays and made mistakes?
Yeah.
Has Beck at Georgia made plays and make mistakes?
He's got 8 touchdowns and 8 interceptions.
Ewers, Milroe, Wegman,
All
Dart.
of them.
All these guys are the same. I mean, we could get Pavia. Pavia's in a kind of the only private school. Vandy's Vandy. That's an asterisk. But, you know, with the supporting cast, I mean, we said this Friday. I'll say it on Monday. Pavia's my first team All-SEC quarterback.
That's who I'd vote for.
Okay, so this is where we are. Is it because it's the way we are in college football? These are new rosters from year to year. There's not much continuity. The guys that should have improved, well, Milroe is an athlete. Just for him to be an adequate passer is big enough progress for him. But guys like Beck and Ewers are multi-year starters, and they should be more consistent. Ewers got benched again. You know, I mean, it's Beck is an interception machine.
He really has been.
You know, I mean.
Milroe's got more interceptions than touchdowns in conference play now.
Dart, you know, he wants to run 10, 12 times, but on a key play, he doesn't run behind his pads, you know, on Saturday. And they keep – so, and I will say this, when we talk about Kiffin, Kiffin is not quite loosey-goosey with expectations on their team, their program, and their season this year. So, but this is right now, Nussmeier, I think listen, the first half, did you listen to the broadcast with Fowler and Herbstreit?
Yes.
It was, they're ready to put him on top,
right?
Number one in the country. That's how good he was really good in the first half. Mm-hmm. He was really good. We talked about this on Friday. I don't think LSU's going to, this improved running game is ready to, you know, be that productive in this spot against this front.
Obviously, it's not.
That puts more pressure.
It does.
Onto it. And it was on him. The first half, he was outstanding. You win him by double digits. The second half, he was bad.
Yeah.
He was bad, and you give up 31 points because you set him up time after time. So within the game, within the week, within the season, quarterback play is very inconsistent. Dylan Gabriel at Oregon has had his spots. Howard at Ohio State. Aller at Penn State. We go on and on. He had 3 interceptions against USC. I mean, there's no Burrow. There's no Daniels. No. Where week in and week out, half to half, these guys are, you know, really, really high-level play.
He's so highly thought of because the arm talent is significant. And the completion percentage aside, most of the time he can get the ball into some pretty tight windows. I watched at the beginning of the second half where he missed some – we talked about in a postgame – some throws that he normally makes. It was one end zone view of an out to Aaron Anderson that was wide open that he hits almost every time, and he missed it way out of bounds to the point where I was wondering about early in the second half if he was able to fully push off on that ankle that got stepped on at the end of the first half. But he finished the game. He wasn't limping, so, you know, I don't know if that had anything to do with it. But the interceptions were not they were not poor throws as much as they were poor throws, but they weren't poor throws as much as they were poor decisions. You know, to loft that ball up there on a 3rd down and 2 where, look, you're not going to make the first down, just punt the football and don't, like you say, room service them. The second one he got fooled on, Rohan did a good job of breaking that down yesterday on Football Sunday. They rolled the coverage and confused him. And then the third one, they dropped the lineman that took away the screen, and I don't think he ever saw the guy,
no,
to be honest
with
not.
You.
So, you know, these are bad decisions, and again, they all happened on that side of the that side of the 50.
Charles, 9th start,
mm-hmm.
And this was the toughest environment he had to play for. You had him quiet in the first half, but once that little spark, bam, and then it was. This was his toughest environment that he's played in.
If Nussmeier doesn't throw the 3 picks and Reed comes in, because that's the other big story. LSU's defense had no answer for what they did offensively once Reed came in the game. It wasn't all Reed, but a lot of it was.
Did they provide enough stops to win this game, though, over the course of the game? I mean, they did a pretty good job. I mean, they forced Wegman to be benched.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just Wegman. They played a part in that.
I actually wonder, did they? And
then they wore down, Charlie, too.
They definitely wore down. And I get the quotes are going around, and it's a big deal. Oh, they didn't prepare for him at all. I'm not going to think that they didn't prepare for him at all. Even Kelly said, hey, should we have done more? Yeah, we should have. This is not your garden variety backup quarterback. He had started 3 games. He had won 2 Southeastern Conference games. You had seen him before. We were surprised he didn't start the Missouri game. So a little bit more of, and I'll be fall on the floor shocked if he doesn't start the rest of them. I think they've seen enough.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
I guess he could go to South Carolina and throw up on himself, but
Charlie Weigman. I mean, well, why change? Why, if Weigman's hot, you go with him. If not, you got your bullpen. But it's hard.
You wouldn't start Reed the next game?
No.
Oh, they're going. No, they're going to.
You're one dimensional with Reed. Well, you shake your head like, well, no. I mean, how many passes did he throw, and how many 2 running plays did they run?
The rest of them, 31 or. They ran 34 plays in the second half.
That's not balance. You want
no, it wasn't.
But Weigman can he be good?
We've seen him be really good.
Okay,
he was really good
can he be
Missouri.
bad? But you can run your offense.
Yeah.
Besides just, okay, we're going to tape this thing, like what Michigan ran with the running quarterback against USC.
Yeah.
That's not what you want to do.
Well, I think they're going to go the other way. I think they're going to start Reed, and if he struggles, then they'll go to Weigman. But they're going to ride the hot hand right now, and I would too.
I always like, if you can go one or the other, I always like to have my running quarterback because they could do more improvisational things and not within the concept of the fluid passing game.
In a vacuum, I think you're right, but in this case, I think they'll ride the momentum of I mean, look, man, is this the biggest win they've had at A&M since they joined the conference? I mean, I know Manziel beat Alabama, but this has got them in line to go to Atlanta, where they've never been. It's got them, and I know we got a new playoff format, but I think this is their biggest.
Until that last game of the season. When
That one will be bigger. I grant you that.
It's put them in position though.
Yeah.
So it's probably the biggest win since they've been in the conference to this point. Yeah.
We're here at Big Mike's. Big celebration coming up for Halloween. Tomorrow night is Trunk or Treat. Starts at 7:00. It's free entry, and it's exactly what you what you think what it sounds like. All of the parking lot is lined with vehicles, and their trunks are open. They've got candy for the kids, so you can come out and bring them out. Starting at 7:00 again, it's free. You can call ahead to reserve your spots. Yeah, it's fun.
Yes.
They've been doing it for a long time here. Everybody has a great time at Trunk or Treat. So that's tomorrow night, starting at 7:00. Also tonight they've been doing trivia on Monday nights. Tonight, Halloween theme for trivia. So that starts at 6:30 tonight with prizes that you can win here at Big Mike's. One of the best happy hours anywhere, Monday through Friday from 3 until 7, with domestic beer, wine, and well cocktails all on special every day and all day on Sunday, which starts at 11 a.m. So if you want to come out and watch the NFL, you can do that here at Big Mike's. Lots of seating in the sports bar, tons of TVs, so you can watch all of the action. And again, great Halloween Trunk or Treat coming up this Tuesday, tomorrow at 7:00. Live at Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Trying to get Troy Macker on right now. Troy, you there? Oh, okay. All right. So we're trying to – I'll tell you what. We'll do a short sec here and get him on at 11:30 so we're not pushed up against the break.
Yeah. The Hail Mary that Jaden Daniels throws yesterday. So there's a bunch of, what you call fallout from this. Number one, Jimmy, let's talk about Daniels. Yesterday puts up almost another 400 yards of total offense. And though they didn't
key like third down shakes, jukes to keep the chains going. I mean, almost like identical plays along the right side where, he's really playing smart.
They didn't score a lot of points, but they won the game. They've got the second best record. There's only 2 teams with a better record than them in football right now, the Chiefs and the Lions. There's a couple of teams that got the same record as they do. He He threw for 326 yesterday. He had obviously the one touchdown, and he ran for another 52. So right at 378 yards of total offense. He's fifth in the MVP odds this morning, and as long as they keep winning, he's going to be in that discussion. If the ribs were bothering him, I didn't see it. We talked to Ro yesterday about that. About it's a pain tolerance thing for quarterbacks.
And he wasn't showing it a whole lot, but I
didn't feel like it affected his accuracy all that much. Like I said, if he was hurting, he did a good job of hiding it, playing through it, whatever. But in the matchup of the two rookies, there was no comparison.
None.
Yesterday,
None. He's better.
Yes, and I like Williams. I think Williams is going to
play well. Pretty good for a long time. He's going to be fun.
But Daniels is significantly better than him right now, and there's no reason we watched. Now Philadelphia looked good yesterday. Dallas is sinking, and the Giants are sunk. They've got a great chance to win this division. They've got
the underdog. You get a plus
they're still
price.
the underdog.
Absolutely.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. They gave. They moved the odds, shifted the odds to Philadelphia yesterday. More.
And Philly looked good yesterday.
Philly was plus 115 to win the division before the games yesterday. They were like minus 25, something like that. So
they really handled Cincinnati.
You got a better price after yesterday's results on Washington to win the division.
Yeah. The Hail Mary, the ball traveled 60, I think it was 67 yards in the air. The play took 17 seconds. He bought himself that much time.
67? I thought it was under 65.
60. The play itself.
35.
The play itself was 52.
The ball was 35. The ball hit about the 3-yard line.
Next Gen Stats did it was 67 yards. So 66.8.
Oh, but after the tip.
Yeah, where it landed.
Oh, okay.
No,
but he tipped it. It was about 62s.
That's as far as he can throw it. I mean, it was a heave. Now we got the defensive back that's waving and dancing and playing to the crowd.
Do we need any more evidence that this generation of players is so dumb? Football IQ. I mean, really, really dumb. Where we see Pitts, who's been such an underachiever with the Falcons on National Tight End Day. Okay, and by the way, that was the way to. I mean, the player props for the tight ends were over left and right, but he's going into the end zone. He just wants to, he wants to dance first. He wants to, show the ball first, and he fumbles. And it was, how doesn't the NFL have an angle from the pylon? Okay,
that's always drove me crazy too. For all of the camera angles you've got, why don't you have one down the goal line on both sides?
So the poor angle, the call on the field stood because I think if it's called a fumble on the field, I think it stands as well. But just don't give them a chance. Just get in the damn end zone first. Cradle when you should be cradling the ball inside the 5 because we've seen how many times the defense is desperate and they're punching. They're punching. Man, just go in the end zone. So this guy wants to showboat. He's more concerned with showing off, waving to the fans, and doing his thing than being ready for the play. The play is the ball is snapped, and he's still waving in the stands. He's on the damn field.
You're calling it dumb, and I won't disagree with that. Can I add another word?
It's selfish.
It's selfish. Yeah, because this is the kind of thing that is usually taken care of in the locker room. This is professional football. We lost a game because you were out showboating. You're costing me money. Okay, the better we are, the more likely I am to get paid.
What game was it yesterday they had to break up the players because the guy 58 came in late hit or something?
It was the Chargers and the Saints. They had the defensive lineman wrapped up Herbert's leg, and the center came in and waylaid him, and they both got flagged for it. And Herbert's trying to pull him off of the center off of the Saints defensive lineman, but he said after the game, they gave him a game ball. This is a dirty-ass play. You're protecting your quarterback. Yeah, I know I'm going to get 15. I'm going to go lay your ass out.
No, Charlie. 58 was a defensive player. Yeah, and it was like Jaron Reed or somebody. It was like maybe the Washington game or I forget. But, I mean, they had to – it went on for a while. And, I mean, he was grabbing his face mask and his up at me because they're tired of it.
Right.
And I'm like, good for this guy. I mean, because when you pull this kind of crap, when you make these just dumb penalty, the yards are so hard, the points are so hard when you just give them up and throw them away. Man, the other 60 guys on the team are pissed at you, man. Yeah. So what is it, Max?
It was that was with the Seahawks.
Yes.
Derek Hall and Jaron Reed.
Yes, Jaron Reed, the former Alabama defensive lineman, and he grabbed 58, and he was because that was a game where Seattle was. didn't outclass. They did some dumb things in that game.
They snapped the ball over Geno's head from the 4-yard line.
Two first and goals inside the 5. They get 3 points total.
Yeah, you snapped it over his head and you stepped on his foot.
4th down, you step on his foot. I mean, they finally get under center in a goal line situation. But
I thought about Eli.
yeah. It's just the people are tired of it, man. And other players are tired of it. And it's selfish, absolutely. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? This is the ultimate team sport, man. And you got to go in the locker room. You got to go in film study.
You got to go face those guys.
Yes.
Saying, because I wanted to call attention to myself. We lost, and I don't know if Stevenson gets over it. He's the one that tipped it. So
I think that's played a fairly big role in the play.
Yeah, it did.
And what he is he misjudged and he came out too much where he could barely tip it, where he couldn't knock it down. So if he was more prepared and been in position, why did he run up? The goal line's right there.
Yeah. He didn't react until the receivers were inside the 20-yard line. Now, the play took forever because Daniels was buying himself so much time.
Cut guys like that, man.
I could cut him pretty easy. You think Belichick could cut him?
Today.
I mean, if one of your superstars does this, then no. But if this is anywhere near a marginal guy, hell yeah.
Chad Reynolds, the legacy title for all your real estate closings, 296-0060, full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional services, which you get every time you call 296-0060. Buying, building, refinancing, nobody chooses but you. Choose Chad Reynolds, the legacy title, 296-0060.
Live at Big Mike's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jimmy, Charlie, and Troy. 3 best buddies sitting around talking sports bets. Let's welcome in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers.
Well, it was a good day for our contributing handicappers on Football Sunday yesterday, but let's see what the rest of the country and see what the betting public and how they fared yesterday and then Saturday. Troy, how you doing, buddy? How was it yesterday for the betting public at Bet Rivers?
It was not great. There were some wins. I think we took losses. The sportsbook took losses on 6 or 7 of the games, but 3 or 4 of them were heavy wins for the sportsbook, and one of them was just a backbreaker at the end. It's obviously the Commanders-Bears game. That final play by Jaden Daniels, the Hail Mary, probably swung mid to high 3 figures from the public back to the sports book. So depending on which game you got in on, if you were back in the Falcons against the Buccaneers, you were a big winner. Same with people betting on the Eagles game. That was a big win for the public as well. Bills, people are riding high the last few weeks, and that game against the Seahawks went well there as well. So there were opportunities to win, but overall, with the Browns beating the Ravens, people still are on the Jets for some reason. And that bonkers finish in Bears-Commanders, it did end up a good day for the sports book.
Gotcha. So that's because it's Bet Rivers is so Chicago strong that it was because I would be surprised. I would have thought more people would be on Washington in that game than Chicago being at home.
Well, we took a lot of money during the week. I think people were resigned to the fact that Jaden Daniels wasn't going to play.
Yeah.
He was announced, I think, very early Sunday morning, and it did swing from about Bears favored by -2.5 to Commanders -0.5 point. But there was also losses. Obviously, people anticipated a shootout. It was anything but. There was a lot of in-game plays, especially when the Bears were down 12-0. You can get them at a decent price, and 12-0, that's 2 touchdowns.
Charlie did.
There was opportunities in game, and that ended up being the 3rd most wagered on game of the week by no surprise.
Charlie, this was shaping up to be a really tough loss, a robot game for Washington because they settled for field goal after field goal after field goal after field goal, had 1 touchdown called back because of a legal man downfield, which they love to call. It is a point of emphasis without a doubt in the NFL this year. But, I mean, at one point I put to my buddy at the Queen, I said, the total yards are 325 to 90 now. And it was like 9-0, 12-0.
And they get this gift when the Bears, for some unknown reason, decide to give the ball to an offensive lineman,
How
down on
about
the
that?
goal line. I mean, there's a Next Gen Stats thing that says this has never been done with a team that is in a one-score game since they've been tracking the stat, which is about 15 years or so. Usually when you get
I've
these
seen
things
it a little bit
in the
in
second
college.
half. I'm sorry, in the second half.
But in
NFL
college
games.
a little. Okay, no, not NFL.
In NFL.
No.
The point of it was teams run this when they're ahead. Teams run this in the first half. They never run it when you absolutely, positively have to have this touchdown.
If you remember, Kim Dichie would come in on 4th and short for Ole Miss at some times, and there have been some of those, but
and they've run this formation
not in the
before.
NFL. No,
they've run this formation a number of times, but he's always been the lead blocker,
correct,
which makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
but not to carry the ball.
Oh wow. The Commanders there that take care of business. What about the Browns-Ravens game? A lot of people had to be on the Ravens after looking so good against Tampa Bay on Monday night.
Yeah. I mean, this was we took more bets on this game than any game this week, including the Sunday night and the Thursday night game. So there are a lot of tickets on this game. The Ravens are typically one of the most popular moneyline tickets that we see. They are on everyone's parlay. They were certainly on a lot of my parlays this week. This was behind the Commanders game and the Patriots game. This was the third biggest win for the sports book on Sunday, and just gut wrenching. I believe pregame. The Ravens were backed by over 80% of the spread money, and that was at least a touchdown, I believe, on the road. That it did not end up that way. We actually had very few plays, I believe, that were over 80%, as we talk about. Ravens ended up with 72% of the spread money was on the Ravens. That was the third strongest, and 79% of the tickets to cover 8.5. That was the second strongest. Was on the Ravens as well. So, they were strongly played and bet by the public, both for losses. The one really standout one that did win, the Lions minus 11.5, 85% of the tickets to cover. That was an easy win, and 79% of the money to cover, another easy win as well against the Titans.
Well, the Browns owner's got to be really upset, huh? That his less expensive quarterback looks so much better than his more expensive one, huh? I mean, it's got to be driving him crazy, huh?
Who knew that changing the quarterback might make a difference?
Back in that draft pick.
I mean, back to back. I mean, 2 years where sometimes the fans, it's out of curiosity. They want to see the backup quarterback. That old saying, the most popular guy on the team is a backup quarterback. I get you, but this is 2 years in a row. Jamie, Deshaun Watson has played his last football game in the NFL. I would be shocked if he gets back and let somebody has him on the team for obvious reasons. How about the Packers-Jaguars? We were getting some Jaguar money at the local book. We were here yesterday at the Queen. I mean, I would still think the Packers would have been the public team there, Troy.
Yeah. It wasn't as heavy maybe as you thought, but that was also a close game. And when Love got injured and was banged up, we take probably a third of game money comes in live. So those numbers do shift. 68% of the money line money was on the Packers, and 62% of the spread money. You'd figure it'd be probably closer to 70%. But again, that was a tight game for a little bit. And obviously the Packers quarterback, who had been injured earlier in the year, went down with an injury again. But, Malik Willis has been good in his speed. So, that was an interesting one. I think the margins ended up very close on that. Like, I don't think we won too much or the public won too much on that game.
I remember Malik Willis, Charlie, and I got to say it like Paul Stone. Sorry, Troy. I love the way he says Malik. But you remember that Sunday night game against the Chiefs where they just refused to let him throw the ball, and it was like, with time, with some reps, he's a valuable backup quarterback. He came into the game yesterday, and they can't do everything that Jordan Love did, but no, I mean he's developed. You need reps. We want to cast judgment on these quarterbacks so early. Sometimes, he's got a job in the NFL for a while. Is what I'm saying.
Best I've seen him look. And the other thing that's kind of emerged in the last 4 or 5 weeks in Green Bay is a real doubt about the progress that Jordan Love is making. And he is being way too careless. With the common thing I hear is he's being way too careless with the football. I haven't watched Green Bay that close, but they got a bunch of money sunk in this guy. He is the future going forward for the long term, and he's not playing all that well. The record's good, but there's some worries about him.
But remember, Willis did start and win the Indianapolis game.
Yep.
He started and won the Tennessee game, and he came in this one and played well enough for them to win because they were down at one point when he was in the game. So that's 3 games that he's played a pivotal role, and they're 3-0 in those games. And so that's very important, thinking that they are 6-2 overall. Let's go to college football on Saturday, Troy. LSU and A&M, we obviously monitoring this line closely, but, man, it was bouncing around a little bit. Where was the money in this game?
Yeah, it was a tight one. Really split. When I look at it, 58% of the money line money was on the Aggies, but 57% of the spread money was on the Tigers, and then on the tickets, 57% of the money line tickets were on the Tigers, and 65% of the spread tickets were on the Aggies. So it was really back and forth. One side there, one side the other. The only common thing that the public was on is that the over 78% of the money and 79% of the tickets.
All right, can we get off to Central Florida? Take my hands off the Tennessee Titans and the Central Florida Golden Knights. So, Charlie, Central Florida.
I tried to get you off of Tennessee.
Here's a ranked, an unranked team favored over a ranked team. Now they bet them to the favorite over the course of the week, but this thing just kept climbing and climbing and climbing. Troy, how much was the betting public on Central Florida in this game where BYU really never had much of a sweat? Oh, wait a minute. Another dumb football IQ play by KJ Jefferson. He got a down 17-7 right before half. You're trying to get back in the game, make it to a 3-point game. He finishes off a run. He's got to taunt the guy. Boop, 15 yards, settle for a field goal, and give BYU enough time to score a touchdown before half. Instead of down 3, you are down, Charlie, that was 11. So, anyway, where was that action on BYU Central Florida at Bet Rivers?
The tickets indicates a pretty lopsided betting public in the favor of BYU. 65% of the money line tickets were on BYU, and 75% of the spread tickets were on BYU. But if you look at the money, it's a little bit different. 57% of the spread money was on UCF, and 46% of the money line money was on UCF. They're still under 40%, but obviously at home, it was basically a split money down to like a couple $1,000s there on BYU UCF. So the tickets were going heavily for BYU, but the money was far more invested in UCF than the tickets were.
What about Notre Dame and Navy? That was. We saw a little sharp money coming in early, on Notre Dame. Paul Stone in our podcast cited Navy's lack of competition. And, Notre Dame was bigger, stronger, and faster, and they needed a break or two. Well, they played so bad. So uncharacteristic. They just didn't handle the big stage, period. They did not handle the big stage very well. And, when the weaker team makes some mistakes, you get a rout, which we had in the Meadowlands.
Yeah, and, this was a case where we took a lot of live action on this game, and a lot of live action actually on Navy to cover, only because that spread jumped really early because they were down, 14-0, 21-0 in the blink of an eye. It ended up 88% of the money line money was on Notre Dame, 73% of the money line tickets. The spread, though, it was, 59% of the spread money and 64% of the spread tickets were on the midshipmen. And I attribute that to, we took a lot of action on the mids early in the week. That line was still pretty big heading into the weekend. It ended up Navy plus 13.5 was the 5th most wagered on play. It was the 4th most popular play. But that number grew a lot during the game, and people, everyone who can't back a service academy, especially when they're good this year. And while there are a lot of the American public that like Notre Dame because they're Irish American or whatever, they're also, they're the Duke of college football, where it's very easy to hate, and you're going to want to bet them to maybe not win by 25 or more, but they ended up winning by 37 or something silly. So, we took a lot of money on Notre Dame as well. Notre Dame to cover was the 6th most wagered on play, and Notre Dame to win was the 7th most wagered on play. So even though Navy was to cover was top 5, 6 and 7 were Notre Dame, so it did even out. And that one was, I believe, a decent win for the public.
They're big. They're a much, much different team than they were at the beginning part of September. Mm-hmm. You'll like this one, Jimmy. The first 2 games, Riley Leonard, no touchdown passes, 2 interceptions, 5 yards an attempt. Last 6 games, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception, 7.6 yards per attempt. So their passing game has come a long, long way since that loss to Northern Illinois.
Yeah, no, and man, even in the win against A&M, I mean, Riley Leonard was it was ugly. And so, no, we know he can run. And I don't remember him struggling passing as much at Duke. When, different stage, different group, well, learning a new roster. We see all these quarterbacks have some transitional bumps in the road. But, no, his play is much better. But, look, man, they could have handed the ball off every time. And they were especially when Notre Dame in the offense, deep on offense, Navy had very little chance of stopping them.
The 6-game winning streak, they're averaging 235 a game on the ground. That's a bunch.
Troy, we appreciate it, man. Thank you. We'll talk to you on Friday.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, don't forget our friends over at Los Reyes. I was hunkering down over at the Queen on Saturday and Sunday. On the way home Saturday, I stopped by and get the chicken burrito, also the chicken burrito, the steak fajitas. I mean, a little fresh guacamole, and the margaritas are outstanding as well. Great stuff over here. Fresh and flavorful menu featuring our own unique spin on all the traditional favorites. Food is freshly prepared, in-house, always leave you satisfied. Don't forget, happy hour is 7 days a week. 7 days a week, 2:30 to 6:30 over at Los Reyes on Lee Drive. So Taco Tuesdays as well, and then $5 Wednesdays. Small margaritas are just $5 all day Wednesday. Los Reyes Mexican Grill on Lee, just off of Nicholson, across from Mike Anderson's.
Live at Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jimmy, you had a thing yesterday where you said if you had to vote for Coach of the Year in college football, it's Curt Cignetti at Indiana, and no argument there. That's who I'd vote for too. But if I had a 1, 2, 3, my number 2 vote would go to Kalani Sitake at BYU. They have been.
Man, he was on a hot seat too. Yeah,
he was. They have won 4 games as an outright, as straight up as an underdog, which I think is the tops in the country this year.
SMU, Central Florida, Kansas State,
and this week.
I said just Central Florida.
Oh, Central Florida, yeah. The 4th one would have been.
This is off the top of my head. If I see the schedule,
at Baylor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah.
So 4 times as an underdog, they win the game outright. They don't play Iowa State in the regular season. That could very easily be the Big 12 championship game. The 2 remaining.
Speaking of the Big 12, speaking of Baylor, who beat Oklahoma State and held on, Gundy's probably going to break his streak, huh? Consecutive. They're 0-5 now in the league.
Yeah.
And should have lost the Arkansas game for sure. I mean, maybe he was trying to tell us something. When he went public and said, man, hey, look, told the players, quit asking me about that NIL budget right now. I as this season contends, and listen, Navy is still Navy to the extent that, okay, they're beating the teams, the lower-level teams, but really, are they ready to step up? Do we really want them in a playoff game? That could have been a playoff game.
Yeah.
On Saturday. We don't want to see that. We don't want to see Liberty in the Fiesta Bowl or in the playoff against Oregon. I mean, no. It reminded us it's still football. It's not March Madness.
I would have liked to have seen Navy did this to themselves with the 6 turnovers on Saturday, and it wasn't like Notre Dame caused a lot of them. They
didn't cause any of them.
Yeah, so this is Navy basically throwing up on themselves.
Charlie, they could have, but they had no chance at stopping them.
Probably not.
I mean, it was just.
I'd like to see Army.
I'd
like to see Army play Notre Dame with maybe a +1 or -1 turnover margin and see how the game goes. See how close
it would have been more respectable, but they can't beat Notre Dame unless Notre Dame beats themselves. They can't. I mean, they were bigger, stronger, faster.
Is Army better than Navy?
No.
Okay, about the same.
No.
Hour number 2 from Big Mike's here in Denham Springs, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Come on out and see us here on Aspen Square at Big Mike's for lunch. And they got some cool stuff going on for Halloween the next couple of days. Tonight it's a Halloween-themed trivia with prizes that you can win here at Big Mike's off the menu. And then tomorrow night, it's our annual trunk or treat. Bring the kids out starting at 7 o'clock. The entire parking lot will be filled with vehicles that have their trunks open and full of candy, so you can bring the kids out. It's a real fun deal for the kids. You can call or reserve your spot if you'd like. The number is 243-5258 here at Big Mike's, so you can get your spot reserved tomorrow night. Lots of fun. Live music every weekend here at Big Mike's. We also have one of the best happy hours anywhere with true discounted drink prices here from 3 until 7, Monday through Friday, and all day on Sunday if you're coming out to watch the NFL games. Starting at 11 o'clock, and those drink prices are good all day. $2.50 beer, domestic bottles, and draft, $4 wells, and $4 wine by the glass. You might need it if you're watching the Saints. This was just totally expected yesterday. The Saints got some offensive personnel back yesterday. Taysom Hill was back. Cesar Ruiz was back. Chris Olave was back. And none of that mattered a whole bunch. The Saints were forced to punt on the 7 of their first 8 possessions. They did not score a touchdown. They had 2 field goals. They changed quarterbacks in the second half and went to Jake Haener. He was marginally more effective than Spencer Rattler, but neither one of them did much of anything. You had the cheap shot on Justin Herbert that caused Los Angeles center to retaliate. Harbaugh was so impressed with that, he gave him a game ball. And what can you say? The Saints dropped to 2-6. It's their longest losing streak since the Katrina year. I don't have a whole lot else about the game other than, well, and this isn't about the game.
What about your evaluation of Rattler? I mean, it was unfair with the supporting cast he had on against Denver, but he had some pieces back this week, and he struggled. I mean, we're not ready to close, but I mean, we wanted to see him. I mean, when they had a chance, they like him. He's not the answer.
No,
don't you think? I mean,
like I said, I when he came in,
can he be a Chase Daniel? Yes, he can.
Sure,
yes,
sure,
he can.
sure.
Yeah.
Do I look at him as a long-term starting quarterback in the league? Not really. He can develop. Anybody can get better, but I'm not like, oh wow, that's the guy. The most disappointing or depressing thing, if you're a Saints fan, and believe me, I've lived through a bunch of this, man. I'm old enough to remember the 1-15 season, but they brought Bum Phillips in after that, and it looked like things were starting to get a little bit better. I was there, when they brought Mike Ditka in, and everybody was excited, and Ditka decided that, it was just basically a side hustle for him. He'd show up, for 2 hours a day and collect a check.
Gave the whole draft for Ricky Williams went and played golf.
Right, because the draft took too long. The day he got there, I'm like, oh, this is not,
No, it wasn't good.
We've lived through all of the disappointments, but this is really, really tough because it's not just. I know everybody wants Dennis Allen fired, and that's fine. I'm not high on Allen. I think he deserves to go too. But if they fired Dennis Allen this afternoon, it wouldn't change anything for this team. And I'm not sure it would change anything for next year's team because this goes way beyond coaching. You have an old team. You have an expensive team. You have a team that does not
it's not an attractive situation for a coach that may have some options.
That's where I was going with this. You say, well, fire him and bring in the hot coordinator. What hot coordinator wants this job? You are in salary cap hell. And they just kept last week again. They extend Alvin Kamara's contract for 2 more seasons. And, Alvin deserved this. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. I'm saying this is where you are. If you are the Saints, you should be a seller at the trade deadline on November the 4th, I think it is, whatever day. You should be trying to accumulate, even if it's late-round picks, if you can get any salary off your books. And if you trade them, you're still responsible
you're asking them
for
to
a
do
lot
something
of this.
they've never done.
Correct. Not under this general manager.
Yes, that's what we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
This is so – Jimmy, there are 8 players that are on the cap for 2026. This is not even next year. This is 2026. All of them 30 or over. They are a collective $103 million, which that is about 35% of the projected salary cap. in 2026. Now, you tell me of these players who you think will be on the Saints in 2026 and will still be productive. Kamara is one. He will be 31 years old. Marshawn Lattimore is on the books for $28.5 million. This is in 26 now when he will be 30 years old. He can't stay on the field now.
Right.
Cam Jordan is on the books for $15 million.
Definitely on the decline.
He will be 37 that year. Ramczyk is on the books. I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass on him because he's supposed to. This is a likely career-ending injury that they didn't see coming. But he's on the books for $26 million. I'll cut him some slack there. Taysom Hill is on the books for just under $10 million in 26 when he will be 36 years old. Demario Davis will be 37. He's on the books for almost 9. Tyrann Mathieu will be 34. He's on the books for a little over 7. And then Jamal Williams, a 31-year-old, will be on the books for $1.5 million. There is no.
It's a bad situation.
Yeah,
you don't have to blame, but we knew this was coming. We've been talking about this for a long time.
At some
years.
Point, yes.
10 years at least. I mean, we've been talking about this for a long time. But they have shown no signs of trying to go in a direction and clear salary. And, there's some desperate teams out there that think they're a player away. Man, take advantage and be a seller because you ain't going nowhere.
Pittsburgh's been trying to buy a wide receiver. I would –
give them one.
I would call – well, they don't have any wide receivers to give them, but I would
Olave?
call them – yeah, you could trade Olave.
Shahid's hurt now, but
Shahid's hurt.
Charlie, you're not in a spot where you could keep – you got to just –
No, I was thinking about more like a guy like Kamara. Pittsburgh could use a guy like that.
Well, you said wide receiver.
No, because Pittsburgh's been shopping for a wide receiver, right?
Okay, but Kamara's another piece too, and I love Kamara. And I love Olave. I mean, but no. But
they made this big deal about he wants to retire a Saint. Go in the Superdome and look up at the wall and all of the names that have been enshrined in what's the Saints' version of a Ring of Honor. Archie Manning's up there, didn't finish his career with the Saints. Willie Rofe is up there, didn't finish his career with the Saints. Martin Anderson's up there, didn't finish his career with the Saints. Ricky Jackson is up there, didn't finish his career with the Saints. I mean, more of the Saints legends didn't finish their career with the Saints than the ones that were able to retire, like Drew Brees.
But that's just garbage. Who's supposed to pay any attention to that dumb statement? I mean,
well. That's what they gave.
I mean, we're caring about the Saints Ring of Honor, where you got a quarterback who's never had a winning season up there. I mean, that's your proud. This is my proud, most cherished. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're worried about the freaking Saints Ring of Honor. What the hell is that?
My biggest, concern is not that Alvin Kamara finished his career with New Orleans. It's that you make the most out of your assets. And Kamara's still playing hard, and that's great. But do you really want him on the books as a 31-year-old running back?
You got to get worse before you get better. You got to try and but this they have never shown, and so they're not doing it. I mean, it's a bad situation. You talk about a coach, and that's the thing. Allen's gone. I'm hearing they're going to let him finish the season. Okay, they don't want to.
Right.
Which,
whatever.
Okay, yeah, whatever. But
actually, I hope they do because I want them to lose games to beat them over the head with how bad this needs to get. That you need a true refocus of this. Getting worse before you get better is fine. It's necessary. If I'm a Patriots fan today, I say, okay, you know what? We had one of the greatest runs, maybe the greatest run in NFL history, certainly modern NFL history. But the coach is gone and the quarterback's retired. We have a rookie coach and we have a rookie quarterback. We're going to take our lumps, but we think these are our guys.
But you have a compromised ownership, administration relationship. It's almost family.
Yeah.
Okay? It's basically family. It's actually closer than family because the family is not in the will. Okay? Right?
You're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So closer than family. And what you need is, because this general manager and this front office has shown that they're just not capable of clearing some cap space, clearing some payroll. And you need a new guy to come in who doesn't have existing relationships and get it done. And then because you have to start, and they haven't done this. But so whoever you bring it, say it's a Belichick or a Vrabel, they don't want to come in here. There's much better. They're going to be much better situations than the Saints. It's not an attractive position because they've refused to try and clear some of this salary and cap space.
There is only one situation. ESPN did this deal last week. They talked about the 6 bottom franchises in the league and their prospects for the next 3 years. And of the 6 teams, the Saints were last. Not that they're the worst team in the league right now, although they're damn close. But I was listening to Greenberg before the show, and he was going through all these things about why the Jets season has been a catastrophe. And minus the Aaron Rodgers off-the-field drama, all of the stuff that's on the field, you could say the same thing about the Saints. But the Saints was looked at as the worst possible position because of the salary cap situation and because of the aging roster that they have. I can only think of one place that would be worse to go than New Orleans, and that's Carolina, simply because of the owner. The owner is so bad. But even they've got some cap space.
But the Saints are joining the Cowboys in that they're a compromise where the owner is the general manager.
Yeah.
Okay? He should not that should be somebody else's
because
job.
Dennis Lauch is essentially the owner.
The Cleveland Browns is saying, they're compromised because the owner insisted that you play the weaker quarterback and dug themselves a hole last year and dug themselves a hole again this year. They're 2 for 2 on replacing the quarterback, and you see results. Okay, the Carolina, he's overriding the GM and the coaches.
Yeah.
Frank Reich on the way said, "Man, I wanted Stroud." He insisted. We're bringing in Bryce Young. They're compromised. And because you have a situation where the general manager he's shown that he's incapable of going this obvious direction where they kind of have to rebuild, they're compromised.
Yeah.
And so, you're letting personal relationships interfere and compromise, making moves in the best overall interest of the organization.
There's only one thing that would make this job attractive to a coach in the offseason, in my opinion, and that is you would likely be able to go to the owner and say, I need like D'Amico Ryans did in Houston and said, look, man, this place is a mess. I need a longer you fired the first 2 guys after a year. I need a longer contract. You could probably negotiate a longer contract, and you would have a decent amount of job security. You wouldn't be a one and done. You would have some cushion built into it. Other than that, there's not a whole lot to look at here. It's more than just a 1-year rebuild. You can't just, if you're out there going, just cut all of these guys and take it, for 1 year, you can't do that. The way they've structured these contracts, I'm not going to bore you with salary cap jargon, but you can't. These contracts have been void-yeared so far into the future. That's why I gave you the 26 numbers. I ain't even looking at the 25 numbers. You're 15 times over the cap more than the next.
Throwing a lot of figures out there, Charlie. It's not an attractive position.
No.
It's not a favorable position for any coach to come in, and don't look for the quick fix.
You would have some job security in a longer contract. That's about it.
You get. We want Alvin to retire as a Saint. Don't get caught up on that. That means nothing. That's what is that? That's dumb. That's just dumb.
I wouldn't care if you said that if it wasn't in the wake of giving him a 2-year contract extension at the age of 29 as a running back.
What are some of the other teams doing right now? They're trying to salvage what they can for aging, declining receivers, whether it's Adams, Hopkins,
Cooper Kupp is on the clock.
Those are guys all in their early 30s. None of them can get separation anymore. They're not what they used to be. But you got some desperate, some desperate teams out there like the Jets. We talked about that. How's that working out for them so far? They're 0-2, right?
They have the same record as the Saints.
Yeah,
for the season.
But the Saints aren't as on prime time as much.
The Saints don't have a quarterback touring, Africa in the offseason. But other than that.
That was tough to watch yesterday. That was boring, man. Oof. That was boring. Need more space? Workbox LLC has the storage solutions you can count on. Whether you're a homeowner, commercial contractor, or industrial business, we got the space for you. Our secure, versatile storage units are ready to meet your needs. Contractors, keep your job site organized and efficient. Store your materials with us at Workbox and access them anytime you need. For businesses and industries of any scale, Workbox LLC, your trusted partner for flexible, safe storage. Workbox, workboxllc.com.
Live at Big Mike's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at Big Mike's Live at Lunch, we've got word on LSU Alabama game time, 6:30. So we'll be under the lights.
I told my son this morning we were talking about Georgia, Ole Miss, or LSU, Alabama at night. I mean, do they want to come in Tiger Stadium at night, or when they want to go to Memorial Stadium in Oxford? With the portalets, huh? Come on, the runs to me. Come on, Charlie.
It's not really about the runs. It's they follow the highest ranked teams a lot of the times, and neither LSU nor Alabama is going to be in the top 10 at that time. So I don't know.
It's not about a bigger nighttime atmosphere when everything else is equal. You tell me,
but everything else is not. Everything else isn't equal, though. The other game has a top 5 team, and this one doesn't.
Okay. All right.
I'm just going along with what the
programmers think. Guess what? The atmosphere at Tiger Stadium means that much where they chose it in prime time because everybody's putting their best games in prime time.
I agree.
Everybody. It's loaded down. It's like too much to me. I wish it was a little bit more balanced.
They make some odd decisions at times with game day. Like I would have never figured they'd be at South Carolina. But they went there.
No, that's game day. I'm talking about choosing the
time.
nighttime.
I thought you guys were talking about game day.
No,
during
we're talking
the break.
about time. No, Charlie, there's just released that the time is set for LSU, Alabama.
Oh,
Charlie, we got a whole nother week to worry about game day, right?
I would think game day would go somewhere else, but
Charlie, game day was at Bloomington this past week.
It was. It was really cool.
But that's not a legendary nighttime venue.
It's not.
Do they have lights in Bloomington?
What?
Do they have lights?
I think. For a long time, a lot of those teams in the Big Ten didn't have lights.
Did it bring in lights to like Michigan, huh?
Michigan, yeah. I think Michigan, up until, this was early 2000s. They had only had a handful of night games where they had brought in portable lights and then taken them out. I don't think they had permanent lights in Michigan until like 2005 or something.
The biggest sports venue to make I'm still not happy about Wrigley Field bringing in lights. Just shouldn't be. It's just not the same. It's not the same. Charlie, pop culture. Why did it go to Cubs game? Because it's during the day, during the week. Yeah. Why did Lee Elia go crazy on those? Tell these idiots to get a job.
That was funny. Not for him. Did you watch any Yankees Dodgers over the weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I got deked. The graphic was wrong. The graphic showed first and second 2 outs when they walked Mookie Betts. They did not show. They did not show. I wasn't watching with the sound on. Right. They didn't show that the base was open.
You know why they advanced him? Because Verdugo threw the ball from the stands. So they gave both of the runners another base.
That you could not tell if you didn't have the audio on. Yeah,
you're correct. They didn't advance
because they never showed a shot of them standing on second and third.
Yeah, Verdugo makes the catch and he goes bum over tea kettle into the stands and he throws the ball back to make sure that nobody was.
But if he comes back in play and
throws back in play, and then the runners advance.
They can't advance.
Right, they advance at their own risk at that point. Okay. But because he threw it from the stands, they gave him the base, and that's when
the baseball rule book is. You got to have it
extensive,
handy, huh?
Yeah. But what I was going to tell you, ask you is they were, of course, showing some of the old Yankee-Dodger Classic World Series games, and one of the ones from '81 they were showing was a day game. And when's the last time we had day games in the World Series? When you brought up the Cubs and day games, they would have had day games.
Probably '70s, huh?
I think the '81 World Series between the Dodgers and Yankees had at least one game in the afternoon.
Yeah, but on the weekend, maybe.
Maybe. Might have been a weekend game, yeah. Day games in the World Series are one of those things from, that we remember from our youth. They're
still doing the League Championship Series. They'll have
on the weekends, yeah.
No, on a weekday they'll have
the
divisional.
The LCS? The divisional, yeah.
The divisional, is it the divisional? It's not okay, maybe the divisional, which,
Those Yankee-Dodger World Series were – that's just a part of my
youth.
So,
the comparisons and the contrasts of the to Kirk Gibson. The obvious is walk-off home run in Dodger Stadium, down to your last out, game one of the World Series. Yeah. And then you get into some of the differences. First of all, you've got the closer. Eckersley was the best closer in baseball that year. Nestor Cortez, how many times has he pitched in relief this year? This might be his first.
If not, it's one of the few.
Okay.
Right.
But they went lefty-lefty, and he got Shohei on a weak pop-up on one pitch. But anyway, the at-bat, Gibson's at-bat was much longer. And remember, he barely chopped one, inside and, just down to, a weak dribbler. Both are coming off injuries. Gibson more pronounced limp when he went around the bases. But this was the first pitch instead of a long at bat. And so, and they needed the home run. A base hit wins the game here. You needed the home run to win the game when Gibson. But the similarities are they're obvious. The other thing was Dodgers are favored in this series. Dodgers were big underdogs in that series. The only thing, that was the Oakland's unbelievable teams. The only thing was, why were they playing Game 1 at Dodger Stadium? Oakland had to have a better record.
They had a much better record. It must
because now it's just record only. Who gets a home field advantage?
Was that one of the years?
Yeah, probably just alternated it.
Mm-hmm. You know how many other at bats Kirk Gibson had in that World Series?
How many at bats?
How many at bats he had in that World Series?
That was his first, and I don't know how many more.
That was his only one.
Really? Yeah.
He did not get another at bat. He was hurt that bad. Is the point. He didn't get, and it was one of, if you look historically, one of the weaker lineups in World Series is the Dodgers. The batting order.
You're talking about when Gibson.
When Gibson was out, it was one of the weaker orders.
Yeah, this one's not.
They rode Oral Hershiser, who at the time was still had his consecutive innings scoreless streak was nearing 59.
Yes.
So they rode Hershiser, and Gibson won the MVP that year. But he was hurt in the World Series. One of the more improbable wins. And the Dodgers, that A's group. In the World Series in '88, the Dodgers, huge underdogs, got them. They win the Earthquake Series in '89 against the Giants, who were probably the best team. Yeah, and then in '90, the Reds swept them. And,
I know,
and that was a good Reds team, but they weren't. I didn't think they were as good.
That
as
was
Oakland.
Another one where the first two games were in Cincinnati.
Yeah, and I'm trying.
But it didn't matter. They won at 4, so they played 2-2.
And as I remember, Jose Rio was great for Cincinnati in that series.
Well, they had the bullpen once they got to the 7th inning.
The Nasty Boys, Dibble and Charlton and Myers.
Boys, guys like Paul O'Neill was making plays. Even the Pittsburgh League Championship Series.
Was that Chris Sabo's rookie year, or was it one of the? Larkin was the MVP of the league that year, I believe, at short, and Sabo was at the beginning of his career. If he wasn't a rookie, he was a second or third year guy. He was another big bat for them.
I could tell you, Oakland was like $2 favorites in every game.
Yeah.
Every game, big favorites,
Game 1 would have been Rio and Stewart, right? Stewart was a 20-game winner.
Yeah, Stewart
pitched
1 and 4.
Yeah, and he was a 20-game winner 4 years in a row at that point, and that was a big upset.
I don't think Rio threw Game 4 though.
I don't think he did either.
But Stewart threw Game 4.
I'm not sure I could tell you another starter for Cincinnati. Maybe John Smiley. Did
Henderson was the only one that was getting hits. Everybody else went cold.
Yeah.
I mean, starting pitching, it's rules, and they're showing Pitts on the TV on the McAfee show, showing how he's can't just get across the goal line. But did you watch it live? The Dodgers, Freddie Freeman's grand slam?
Yeah, I did. I was.
It kind of got you. I mean, it's a great thing about sports, man. I mean, you can't script that. I mean, you can't. That was it was cool, man.
I was in bed by that point trying to fall asleep, but I wanted to watch the end of Boise and UNLV, which also ran very late. So I'm watching the World Series, and I'm kind of going back and forth. And I was lucky enough. I caught the bob. I'm on the baseball game when I'm supposed to be, and Freeman parked it, and boy, he knew it right from the beginning.
It's a fastball inside, huh?
Yeah, he crushed
about
it.
the knees.
Yeah.
But I wonder why he didn't want to throw him sliders. The lefty. He just said he died of sliders.
He got away with a pitch to Ohtani. Ohtani, the ball.
He did.
That one's one that if Ohtani had put that one in the gap or over the fence, I wouldn't have been surprised.
Maybe. Well, what is the difference between pitching second and third with a one-run lead and bases loaded with a one-run lead? Obvious. You can't walk in the time
wild pitch.
So maybe he's trying to start with a fastball to make sure he doesn't fall behind.
Yeah. Well, it ended up in the seats.
Bye-bye. They play tonight, huh?
They do.
Who's pitching?
Yankee Stadium tonight. Who is pitching? Read your live spot, and then I'll tell you.
Don't forget our friends at K&M Automotive on Sieg and Lee. My buddy Jason Payne at K&M Automotive, the only place I take my vehicle. Anything that goes wrong with your car, bring it in. We'll take care of it, from just basic oil changes to brakes to transmissions to AC repair. I mean, the engine light comes on. Bring it in. We'll give it a look and take care of it. He's busy because he's got a great reputation for giving people an honest deal. That's all you want. Fix it, please. And also he'll explain repair versus replace with certain parts as well. K&M Automotive open 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Perkins and on Segan near Perkins.
Walker Buehler for the Dodgers, Clark Schmidt for the Yanks. New York is a -155.
Buehler showed some promise last time.
Yeah,
against the Mets.
Pitched a whole lot. We'll take a break. Come back here at Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remind you about Trunk or Treat tomorrow night here at Big Mike's in the parking lot. Bring the kids out starting at 7 o'clock. Be a terrific family atmosphere. All of the vehicles in the parking lot open up the trunks, and they've got candy for the kids. You can come out starting at 7 o'clock.
They do it every year, man. It's
do.
become a good tradition. It's a great deal for the kids, man.
Yep. And if you want to reserve your spot, you can call at 243-5258 here at Big Mike's. Big game this week between Ohio State and Penn State. Jimmy, both of them had their problems over the weekend, but it was a much bigger deal for Ohio State. Nebraska was coming off that 56-7 thrashing against Indiana. They gave Ohio State all they wanted. Will Howard threw 3 touchdown passes, and Ohio State got out, but they looked real shaky.
Geno Smith's cousin from Miami, man, he's
Jeremiah
a real deal.
Smith is fantastic.
Over the top, he hit him. Howard made some plays, but this was – Nebraska had to settle for 3 field goals to start their scoring. Howard did throw a bad pick, though, that set up, I think, the go-ahead touchdown for Nebraska in the second half. He's okay. Hey, just in, we talked about all the SEC quarterbacks. He's a guy, makes some plays sometimes, makes some mistakes. I mean, he is not consistent. I mean, it's just college football this year. You don't have any Jaden Daniels, or Caleb Williams even. I mean, Caleb Williams couldn't play defense last year, but we don't have that really. And we didn't know what, McCarthy from Michigan, they wouldn't let him throw a whole lot. They didn't want to take a chance. But I was more impressed with Penn State than Ohio State this past week. Both similar situations, both with the game next week, the whiteout Saturday night in Happy Valley, because Wisconsin had a second-half lead, and Penn State, Charlie, they put them away.
Yeah.
I mean, they really –
On
the road at night, and they lost their starting quarterback. The backup came in and did a very nice job, and really did miss. Kind of like Indiana, then that's a sign of good coaching. That's a sign of depth, and man, it's big. We all know in 2007 LSU had to get some help off the sideline, off the bench with their quarterback when Paralleau went to Atlanta and got the offensive MVP in the SEC championship game against Tennessee. So that was impressive. Ohio State. The off-season conversation, man, we're tired of it. We're going out. Here's our budget, top budget. We got $20 million. Let's go get some guys. And they are the Ryan Day thing. Is it kind of real? I mean, they could have lost. I mean, yeah. I know that Penn State was down in the second half, but they took care of business. They were much more in trouble in the Coliseum against USC than they were in this game, and they lost their starting quarterback. So, I kind of think what am I going to say? Well, now this is the 5th game where you had 2 quality teams playing in the SEC. 4 of the 5, the home team has won. I kind of think maybe this is Penn State's year to get them at home, because this Ohio State team, I don't see where they outclass them as some other Ohio State teams who are going into Happy Valley and just the better team won, the superior roster won. I'm not so sure that it's that superior this year.
By the way, if you haven't seen Jeremiah Smith, he's worth the price of admission. Among freshman wide receivers, his numbers are almost identical to Ryan Williams at Alabama, who gets,
Well, they remind me a lot of each other.
Yeah, and here's the difference.
Size?
Smith is every bit the talented Williams is, but he's 3 inches taller and 40 pounds heavier than Williams is. And I guess I should throw the obligatory, and he's not 17 either. So Williams is obviously going to fill out some, but Smith is a fantastic player. What did you think of Vandy gave Texas all they wanted, huh? Diego Pavi just kind of it's almost like he just
they did
one more bullet, one more shot at it.
Well, they scored late to put it
They
on
did.
3.
They were down 10.
It was a pick 6 that was called back because of Texas penalty that would have made it 17. Which would have been right on the number. Texas is a superior roster, I get it, but Vandy's going to fight, man. It's all to somebody who was there, who goes to a lot of Vanderbilt games. It was actually 50-50 in the stands.
Yeah,
and they ribbed Saban a little bit. McAfee was pretty funny. He ribbed him on game day because when they were picking that game, like Texas, Vandy, and they were giving their reasons why. And then coach, tough place to play, Nashville, huh? Mm-hmm. And so because of his comment, he had that kind of like that grin. He just took it. Yeah. But it's funny, man. Game day's been great this year. That was great. The Indiana love was awesome. It was awesome. It was really cool. Lee Corso Day, the Bloomington mayor, the whole shebang, man. And so it's Texas is, but did Texas just go in there after losing bad at home and obliterate them? No. So I still come away. How good is Texas? I just don't know. I mean, their one real test, they failed miserably. I mean, what's their best win? At Vandy? What's their best win? At Michigan?
Vandy's better than Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, Oklahoma probably the best win.
Oklahoma's better than Michigan?
No.
Okay, then at Michigan still.
Point spread value, I think they're all kind of it just my point is really okay, is Oklahoma on a neutral impressive? No, not this year. Is Michigan going to win this one? No, but they're probably still rated higher than Vandy, but they don't have the dynamic offense that Vandy does. Vandy's clearly better on offense.
Well, let me ask you from a local angle, which game is LSU more likely to lose or be favored by more? And Oklahoma and Vanderbilt come here in back-to-back weeks.
Jackson Arnold showed a little bit of fight.
Yeah.
Jackson Arnold showed in Oxford against a good defense. Now, they lacked the intensity. Second half, they probably got after him a little bit. That was clearly a much better intensity out of Ole Miss. But it was Ole Miss where they can just sleepwalk through anybody. No, they're not that team. And so Arnold, I think, displayed where he's clearly the best option that they have. No, look, both of them are fighting uphill battles because so many injuries on the offensive line, so many injuries, the wide receiver. Their top five receivers have been out for multiple games this year, and they were competitive. And one thing I've reading the body language of Lane Kiffin, he's not himself in an expectation spot. This is a year where Ole Miss when has Ole Miss had these type of expectations? We said their preseason ranking; they've never been this high since Johnny Vaught.
No, if you're just talking about a fan, a fan expectations, I would say Eli Manning's final year would be the closest.
They weren't preseason top 10.
No, they weren't.
No.
You're asking me what's the next closest to this year? It would have been that
year.
They
were probably, 22 or 23
We looked this up a
few
weeks ago. It was in the teens. I forgot what it was.
It was in the teens.
It was in the teens.
The high teens, yeah.
This
is a top 10 preseason ranking.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's some coaches, some teams, Charlie, they're just programs are better in an underdog role.
They've had so much experience.
Some coaches, we see coaches be very successful with limited resources. They go to high expectations, and not so much. He's had some high expectation jobs at Tennessee and USC. Now, he's more mature now. We get it. He's probably better, but still him.
Since you brought up the body language, do you buy into the idea that he was thinking that this is his springboard year, that he's got his eyes on another job? It doesn't have to be Florida. It could be another job.
Certain administrators, including here, they didn't want to fool with him because of his off-the-field baggage and his off-the-field history. And are some others willing to let that up? He is maxed out at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Okay, he has gotten as much financial support, budget-wise, as he can out of them. There's just a ceiling. Yeah. I mean, I think at this year he's got to – and look, the two games – is Kentucky going to go 1-7 in the league with one win? At Ole Miss.
They might. They could.
They probably.
Trying to think of who they got left.
For them to, and guess what they're still doing though. Third down off the field, lack of discipline penalties to extend drives. They just don't get it.
They did
just
that.
Don't
that
get
cost
it.
them the Kentucky game. Kentucky's last two conference games are Tennessee and Texas. They're not going to win either one of those.
So they'll finish
both of them on the road.
1-7.
1-7.
And with the win against Ole Miss, that nut job is losing sleep over that.
Yeah. don't you think the Kiffin's the off the field stuff that scared programs off before is kind of in the rearview mirror now?
No, it's this last year. Still hurt him. Auburn 2 years ago. LSU 3 years ago. No, it's still there.
You don't think he turned down Auburn? You don't think he was ever offered that job?
My Auburn connections tell me he was not a consideration. I said, wait a minute, y'all got to take Hugh Freeze with his known shenanigans? They said, yes, we'd rather those. And
the devil, I guess. They let it hang out there a long time. They didn't squelch it.
Somebody will.
That's one of those stories you get after everybody retires.
But
here's what really
every
happened.
administration, every AD is a little bit different.
Yeah,
and they might be willing to. I would take a chance.
Yeah, he's gotten to the point in his life where that stuff is pretty far in his rearview mirror. He has matured. He's an older coach now. And for somebody that's – okay, so he's an older coach now, but he has been coaching for a really long time. I mean, Lane Kiffin, who is still only he's 50, I think, or 49. He's coached a long time, and he got in this game so early.
He was born on third with his opportunities.
He was,
NFL, USC, tennis. I mean, come on, what did he have done? What did he do to deserve those besides being Monty Kiffin's son?
Nothing. And he got into a situation where Al Davis, who had a history of hiring very young head coaches, Madden I think was 32 or 33 when he hired him. He hired there was another coach that was very very young besides Kiffin when he hired him.
But would Florida hire him? I would hire him if I'm Florida.
Yeah,
he embraces the port of the new era, right? He complains about it, but he just wants more of a budget. Is Florida willing to – this is crazy – but is Florida willing to match what he's getting right now or at least improve what Ole Miss – improve his budget, his NIL budget or his pay-for-play budget?
I don't know, man.
I don't know either.
I asked Shay Dixon on pregame on Saturday. I'm like, Florida has 11 commitments for next year. Is that because Napier's,
No, they know he's
on
dead.
the hot seat? But when he was there – in the NIL era, he didn't really recruit all that well either. So I have real questions about what Florida's budget is. I don't know if it's as high as
Charlie. It rains in Gainesville. It's not Southern California. They just built an indoor facility. We know they're behind because for a long time that was arguably the best job in college football because you have so many NFL caliber players playing high school in that state, and you're the only SEC school in the state. Yes, you got outside competition, but you have a kid who's a blue chipper and he can go 6 hours to play or 2 hours to play. No, that's an advantage. And they're just not taking advantage. Texas and Florida have gone back and forth. There's the most players actively in NFL. But Texas has so much more population. They have a bigger pool to prove from. I still think the highest quality of football, high school football, is Florida.
Yeah.
But they got to increase that budget.
Since Spurrier, they've hired 6 coaches, and they've missed on 5 of them. They've missed on 5 out of 6. Are they all that bad of coaches, or is there something else afoot there? Now, we're going back a little bit if you want to go back to Ron Zook and Will Muschamp. But even recently.
But their budget is not as much as the others. Yeah. And why is that? They don't have, the Walmart. Or Jerry Jones or Tyson Foods. They don't have, the few guys that LSU has. They don't have the guys at Alabama. They don't. They just don't. Maybe it's more of it's a little bit of a blue collar type of makeup to their enrollment.
Well, LSU doesn't have a Walmart or a Yellowwood either, but they've found enough. They've got some pretty good boosters. The University of Florida, somebody somewhere.
I would think.
Yeah, go dig a little bit. You got to have.
I would think.
You got to have some
their enrollment.
is
out the roof. It's a big school. They've got numbers, and that's where they always used to have. The Gator Growl. They charge them $50 to get in for a pep rally, and they have 70,000 on homecoming weekend. So they would do that. So I think they have numbers, but they need some leadership. and getting this stuff. And I don't. But it's not a guarantee that Florida, will even match what Ole Miss has done.
And a lot of these hires were with, Jeremy Foley was pretty sharp AD,
but
right?
But Ole Miss didn't do it till Kiffin got there, and Kiffin kind of rattled some sabers and got them, told and worked it. He worked it, and I think he's a guy that would. I think he's got a higher ceiling at Florida.
I agree.
We've seen that place, huh?
We'll know right off the bat because he won't take that job if they don't up that budget. He wouldn't take it. We're brought to you by Louisiana Health and Injury Centers, helping you deal with pain. Dr. Michael Goff and his staff done a great job for my family over the years and for me personally. So if you got back injury, you got neck pains, you got knee pains, let them help you out and do for you what they've done for us, which is get you to feeling better. They'll get you into a program that targets your problem areas, whether it's an exercise and stretching routine or you do go in for a dry needle or an adjustment, electric nerve stimulation, cryo, or ultrasound therapy. They'll get you to feeling better. Airline Highway, Plank Road, Jefferson Highway near Drusilla, Dr. Michael Goff, Louisiana Health and Injury Centers. Back to wrap it up here at Big Mike's on Aspen Square in Denham Springs. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remind you about the Halloween festivities here at Big Mike's tonight. It's Halloween trivia. Tomorrow night, trunk or treat. 243-5258 is the number to call if you want to reserve your spot. But you can bring the kids out just impromptu. Start at 7 o'clock tomorrow night here in the parking lot. A lot of fun for the whole family at Big Mike's. Don't forget their happy hour Monday through Friday from 3 until 7 with real discounted drinks, $2.50 beer, draft, and domestic bottles, plus $4 wells, $4 wine here at Big Mike's. LSU, Alabama game time, ABC, 6:30, 2 weeks from last Saturday. And we got Giants and Steelers tonight, Monday Night Football. Giants say that Daniel Jones will not be on a short leash despite the fact that he was benched last week. Steelers are a 6-point favorite with Russell Wilson set to start his second game tonight.
Looked good in his first game. Got to give him credit. I didn't expect that. I mean, I took the Steelers against the Jets that night, but he looked better shape.
Yep,
moved better. I mean, he was in. With a new environment, new pieces to work with. I mean, as good as he can look, and if he does, one thing he knows, hey, we're gonna throw a jump ball up for Pickens. Let him go get it. He gonna get some, and he did that. Well, the New York team's on prime time again. Here we go. 4-32 straight up the last 36 games, and 1-19 against the spread the last 20.
4-32 straight up.
4-32, Charlie.
Wow.
But they're the number one media market.
They are. So it's a lot of people watching a lot of losses, apparently. I mean,
are they real positive these days in New York about their teams? Is Greenberg still, is he still reserving his spot in the French Quarter to come down for the Super Bowl 59?
He just sounds so despondent. And look, I'm a Saints fan. I can relate.
You get what you get, man, with this false hope.
You gave
you get what you get.
You gave Aaron Rodgers the keys to the kingdom, and
well, what's the name is gone? Tyrod. They got Drew Lock is the backup now for the Giants. Now Tyrod's better than him.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah.
Thanks to the folks at Big Mike's. Come on out for a trunk or treat tomorrow night. Tomorrow we are at Doe's Eat Place. We'll see you then. Stay tuned, Von Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
Pierre Part Store and the Thibodeau Store. You're making home improvements. These are the places to go to get all the supplies that you need. Thanks for those that came out on Saturday. I understand they had a real good turnout for their 113th anniversary at the Pierre Part Store. You go into the Thibodeau Store, you're looking for plumbing supplies, you're looking for electrical supplies, you need to have things delivered, you need lumber delivered. They can deliver that out of the Pierre Part Store. Go to ThibodeauStore.com. Power tools, hand tools, and the kind of service that you're not going to get from the big box stores. So if you're doing these home improvements yourself, you don't know exactly how to proceed, let them talk you through it. It's a lot better than a YouTube video. They're going to be able to save you time, save save you money, make sure that the job is done right. So, again, go to ThibodeauStore.com. For delivery is available for you, or you can go to the venue and pick it up yourself. They will help you load all of the bulky items that you need. 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux. The Thibodeau Store and Thibodeau Store.